Work involvement and its alternatives. To provide an introduction to the subject, work involvement and its alternatives. To discuss the measures of work involvement. To analyze the effect of job involvement. To correlate organizational commitment with work involvement. To explain the consequences of lack of work involvement. To learn the means to improve work involvement of employees. Dear students, today we are going to learn about the topic work involvement. What do you think is the meaning of work involvement? And why do you think it is essential in the work environment? Let us take an example of your school. Have you ever noticed that whenever you like the subject you are studying and participate in class with enthusiasm and involvement, you tend to score more marks in that subject? Whereas when we study a subject with complete disinterest and lack of involvement, we do not score well. Why is this? This example indicates the significance of involvement. That was about general involvement in a subject. Now, what is the meaning of work involvement? Work involvement, also known as job involvement, can be defined as psychological identification with one's work as well as the degree to which the job situation is central to the employee and his or her identity. Put in simple terms, job involvement is defined as the measure of the degree to which an employee is involved in his job and takes part in decision making of the organization. Understanding, predicting and improving employee behaviors are major aspects of a manager's job. Managers often try to influence work-related attitudes in order to create behavioral changes in the employees. They rely on moderating variables such as the importance of the attitude, its specificity and its accessibility. They also analyze whether social pressures exist between attitudes and whether employees have direct experience with the attitude to impact what employees behaviorally do. Job involvement is how people see their jobs as both a relationship with the working environment, the job itself, and how the work and life are commingled. Therefore, it becomes utterly important that the employees have a high degree of involvement in their work. We have understood the basic meaning of the term work involvement. Let us now discuss about the measures of work involvement. For this purpose, we shall study about the employee categorization stated in Blau and Bol's model. The term job involvement has been used frequently in both experimental and field studies. The concern of these has been with the relationship of job involvement to quality and quantity of performance, absenteeism and grievances. The employee categorization from the Blau and Bol model gives 4 categories of employees for the purpose of measuring and categorizing their involvement in work. Their base model is formulated by partitioning job involvement and effective commitment into high and low categories. This is based on median splits of the questionnaire scales and then combining them into 4 employee categories. These are stars, lone wolves, corporate citizens and apathetics. Let us understand this with the help of a table. As we can infer from the table comprising the Blau and Bol's employee model, the modeling parameters for stars are that they have high organizational commitment and high job involvement. Their work is important to their self-image and behaviorally they exert a high level of personal task-related effort. They also put in a second level of group maintenance effort to help maintain commitment to the organization. Star employees are often used as role models for other employees. They are upwardly mobile in the organization and are supported by powerful coalitions or individuals within the organization. Lone wolves have modeling parameters that include high job involvement but low affective commitment. Their work and job are important to them, but they do not identify strongly with their organization. They are especially sensitive to either the satisfaction facet of their work environment that directly involves their work or to the facets of reflecting the importance of their work. Behaviorally, they are low on organizational loyalty. However, they are high on commitment to specialized role skills and may isolate themselves from their company and co-workers in the pursuit of their work or professional goals. But these behaviors are generally not viewed as antisocial or anti-organizational. Corporate citizens are modeled by having low job involvement but high organizational commitment. They identify strongly with the organization and its goals. However, because of low job involvement, they do not readily identify with their job or see it as a factor in their self-identity. Behaviorally, they provide continuity and cohesion and are sometimes seen as employees who cooperate spontaneously to achieve organizational objectives that go beyond role specification. Finally, the modeling characteristics of apathetic employees include low job involvement and low effective commitment. They may have been once highly motivated by their jobs and strongly committed to their organization, but are now indifferent to both. Behaviorally, they are prone to practice calculative behavior. They exert minimal work effort, just enough to maintain organizational membership, and will try to leave the organization whenever alternative opportunities become available and present high extrinsic rewards. Understanding this model about employees' categorization based on their job involvement and organizational commitment provides us a means for measuring the level of involvement of the employees. By classifying them and identifying under which of the category they appear, the organization can decide their efficiency and the level of confidence that it can retain on the employee. Students, irrespective of the type and scale of industry, the importance of job involvement in an organization can never be undermined. Human behavior plays a significant role in maximizing organizational effectiveness, regardless of technological development. In particular, any effort to maximize organizational effectiveness requires a higher degree of job involvement among members of an organization. That is, job involvement is an important motivational variable for any organization. In the modern economic era in particular, work involvement also contributes to the overall ability of human resources. For highly involved employees, their jobs seem inexorably connected to their diverse identities, interests, and life goals, as well as the satisfaction that they can derive from performing their job duties effectively. More involved persons also feel more competent and successful at work. They believe that their personal and organizational goals are compatible and tend to attribute positive work outcomes to their internal and personally controllable factors. However, because some people exhibit less variability in their efforts than others, it may be of interest for organizations to identify which employees, whether managers or supervisors, are more prone to variability in their responses. Job involvement has been one of the most effective tools used for increasing employee productivity by enhancing employee participation and commitment to the organization. When the employees of an organization have utmost involvement in work, the organization flourishes and comes out with flying colors, as it would be apparent. This is because higher involvement on the part of employees would mean higher productivity, be it in terms of quantity or quality. It would also imply better efficiency in work along with much lesser wastages and duplication of efforts. The effort and involvement of each employee is of very high significance to the organization. Therefore, work involvement on the part of the employees becomes very important for the growth of the organization and its position in the society. Apart from these benefits to the organization, job involvement accrues tremendous benefits to the employees as well. To start with, involvement in the work provides the employees with a sense of job satisfaction, which is very essential for the continuance on the job and to live a peaceful life. Moreover, a job involvement means the employees do the job with a better sense of passion, thereby leading to an increase in their productive capacity and their contribution to the organization. This results in higher pay, bonuses, appreciations and promotions, which would further encourage them to improve their performance. When we do any job with involvement, it so happens that the time taken to complete the job is much lesser than when we do it unwillingly. Therefore, this advances the efficiency of performance of the employees and helps to avoid a stressful lifestyle. It ensures their peace of mind and happiness. As a result, their performance becomes more and more efficient, thus taking the employees as well as the business organization to greater heights. Organizational commitment. Organizational commitment has widely been defined as identification and involvement with the organization via believing in the organization's values and goals, exerting effort on behalf of the organization, and desiring to remain within the organization. It is to a great extent intertwined with the concept of work involvement. Commitment can be observed as an attitude or mindset where the commitment arises due to convergence of goals and values and develops prospectively. Commitment can be behavioral, where it develops post-membership in retrospect, which facilitates rationalization of continuance in an organization or a course of action. Organizational commitment has been defined as a psychological state that characterizes an employee's relationship with an organization and has implications for the decision to continue membership of the organization. There are three components of organizational commitment, namely effective commitment, continuous commitment, and normative commitment. Organizational commitment predicts work variables such as turnover, organizational citizenship behavior, and job performance. Some of these factors such as role stress, empowerment, job security and employability, and distribution of leadership have been shown to be connected to a worker's sense of organizational commitment. Organizational commitment can also be contrasted with other work-related attitudes such as job satisfaction, defined as an employee's feelings about their job, and organizational identification, defined as the degree to which an employee experiences a sense of oneness with their organization. Affective commitment. Affective commitment is defined as the employee's positive emotional attachment to the organization. Affective commitment can also be termed as the desire component of organizational commitment. An employee who is affectively committed strongly identifies with the goals of the organization and desires to remain a part of the organization. This employee commits to the organization because he or she wants to. This commitment can be influenced by many different demographic characteristics such as age, tenure, sex, and education, but these influences are neither strong nor consistent. The problem with these characteristics is that while they can be seen, they cannot be clearly defined. Continuance commitment. Continuous commitment is the need component or the gains versus losses of working in an organization. Side bets or investments are the gains and losses that may occur should an individual stay or leave an organization. An individual may commit to the organization because he or she perceives a high cost of losing organizational membership. Things like economic costs such as pension accruals and social costs like friendship ties with co-workers would be costs of losing organizational membership. But an individual doesn't see the positive costs as enough to stay with an organization. They must also take into account the availability of alternatives such as another organization, disrupt personal relationship and other side bets that would be incurred from leaving their organization. The problem with this is that these side bets don't occur at once, but that they accumulate with age and tenure. Normative commitment. The individual commits to and remains with an organization, but because of feelings of obligation, the last component of organizational commitment. These feelings may derive from a strain on an individual before and after joining an organization. For example, the organization may have invested resources in training an employee who then feels a moral obligation to put forth effort on the job and stay with the organization to repay the debt. It may also reflect on internalized norm developed before the person joins the organization through family or other socialization processes that one should be loyal to one's organization. The employee stays with the organization because he or she ought to. But generally, if an individual invests a great deal, they will receive advanced rewards. Organizational commitment is an important link to work involvement. Having understood in depth about the various kinds of organizational commitment, let us learn about the consequences of lack of work involvement. In other words, the importance of work involvement in an organization. Consequences of lack of work involvement. Students, as we have already discussed, work involvement is the measure of the degree to which an employee is involved in his job and takes part in decision making of the organization. So what do you think will happen to an organization when its employees lack the sense of work involvement? Would you consider a lack of job involvement as detrimental in running the business of the organization? Let us further analyze about this issue with the help of an example. Let us assume that there are two companies of the name ABC Limited and XYZ Limited involved in the production and sales of biscuits. We shall also assume that both the companies are similar in all aspects, including the number of employees employed and the scale of operations, and operate in the same city. In the first company, ABC Limited, all the employees are highly motivated and have a high sense of work involvement. Their morale is also tremendously good and they are allowed to take part in the decision making and other significant aspects in the organization. On the other hand, the employees of XYZ Limited have very low work involvement. They are not at all motivated to do their job, and the only reason they continue to work is to support their family and have a source of income. Let us assume that except this one aspect of work involvement among employees, all else is similar among the two companies. Now, what will happen to the level of sales and productivity of ABC Limited and XYZ Limited? Will the profit and growth of business be the same in both the companies despite the low level of work involvement in the employees of XYZ Limited? The answer is obviously a no. In ABC Limited, since the employees have good work involvement and high morale, their performance will definitely be very efficient and highly productive. The outcome of this company would surely be more than that of XYZ Limited, where the employees lack work involvement. Therefore, in the course of time, the business organization whose employees are high in work involvement, that is ABC Limited, starts flourishing in the society, whereas the organization with employees less involved in their work starts declining in the market. So, what do we infer from this example? If the employees of an organization lack job involvement, the business of the organization is sure to go down in the course of time. Moreover, when an employee does not have involvement in his or her work, the level of his job satisfaction also drops. This may lead to stress and cycles of depression, further leading to a drop in the employee's performance. Means to improve work involvement. Having now understood the significance of work involvement, let us go about to discuss the various means and methods to improve work involvement among the employees of an organization. In order to boost the work involvement and morale of the employees, the organizational and managerial heads can adopt to certain methods and incentives. To actually implement the decisions to influence employee attitudes, managers often enact various organizational and personal influence tactics. Organizations need to know how to achieve the highest degrees of job involvement as well as to improve these levels. Although all organizations likely aspire to encourage a high degree of job involvement, this effort is extremely difficult, largely because of the inherent differences in the degrees of involvement among employees. These differences may be due to variations in personality, a key individual difference variable. Thus, even though enriching individual dimensions might help solve behavioral problems and thereby continue to organizational effectiveness, human psychology studies continue to ignore this critical dimension. The human personality dimension also might provide a means to determine why an employee appears more or less involved in work. With such information, managers could identify the kinds of personalities that best fit with specific job characteristics. Further, they could avoid choosing inappropriate staff as well as coordinate diverse employee activities to maximize productivity, efficiency, and effectiveness. A realistic view of work involvement thus suggests that it is a function of personality. Therefore, managers, by understanding the varied personalities of the employees and catering to them, can help improve the level of their work involvement. Also, employees' job involvement increases if employees have decision-making authority, responsibilities, and the tempo of the work. Job satisfaction also helps in increasing their involvement to a great extent. Job satisfaction is commonly defined as the extent to which employees like their work. This would mean the creation of a work-friendly, clean and comfortable working environment. Role conflict and ambiguity have been proposed as determining factors of workers' job satisfaction and organizational commitment. Therefore, by helping out the employees to avoid role conflicts and ambiguities, low work involvement can be avoided to a large extent. Employee empowerment is yet another means to improve the job involvement. Empowerment is the process of enabling or authorizing an individual to think, behave, take action and control work and decision making in autonomous ways. Empowering the employees means providing them with higher level tasks, responsibility and decision making in the performance of their job. Empowerment in the workplace has had several different definitions over the years. It has been considered as energizing workers through leadership, enhancing self-efficacy by reducing powerlessness and increasing intrinsic task motivation. A psychological view of empowerment describes it as a process of intrinsic motivation, perceived control, competence, and energizing towards achieving goals. Apart from these methods, there are many other ways through which managers may aspire to boost the work involvement of the employees. These may be in the form of incentives such as bonuses, increments in salary based on the performance, and other monetary benefits. They may also be in the form of certain non-monetary benefits like promotions, presenting awards, and appreciations for better performances, etc. Conclusion. Dear students, in this session we have discussed in detail about the topic work involvement and its alternatives. We have learnt about the various measures of involvement in work and how to identify them in an organization. We have also discussed about the effects of work involvement as well as the consequences of lack of involvement in work among the employees of an organization with the help of an example. Further, we analyzed about organizational commitment and how it is closely interlinked with the concept of work involvement. Work involvement is a very relevant concept to be taken care of in today's world, which is highly characterized by stress and depression among the people. With the initiation of globalization and privatization, industries are becoming more and more competitive in terms of productivity as well as quality. Hence, with the demands of quality of labor rising, it is inevitable for the employees to improve their standards of performance by increasing their level of work involvement.